Isn't it just wild how sometimes a song just gets you? Like it cuts right through all the noise and nails those complicated feelings we all wrestle with sometimes.
It really is something. Music's got this incredible power, doesn't it? To just connect with you on this deep emotional level, often saying things we can't quite find the words for ourselves.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what we're diving into today. We came across this really insightful article from TATANKA looking closely at the song Sedate Me by Melly Baby, the Canadian singer-songwriter.
Ah, yes, I know the one. Fairly recent, isn't it?
That's the one. So our mission really is to unpack this song for you, our listeners. We want to explore all the layers, the raw emotional honesty, the actual artistry involved, and how it really speaks to mental health.
Which feels so relevant right now. There's just so much more conversation happening around mental well-being, particularly maybe with younger people trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and it's also interesting how Melly Beatty built her audience, right? The article mentions TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Hmm.
She's got this really dedicated fan base. It shows how artists connect now, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights how these online spaces can empower artists, let them build real connections with people who genuinely get their message, sometimes bypassing the usual routes.
Okay, so let's really get into this emotional transparency the article talks about. It mentions this, like fearless honesty in the lyrics. I mean, lines like, "Hitter marks underneath my skin, and they hurt me more than the ones that bleed." Wow, that kind of stops you in your tracks.
It does, yeah. That imagery is so potent. It immediately brings up that idea of inner pain, the kind that's invisible but just cuts so deep. It speaks volumes, really, about those internal struggles. Have you
Yeah.
ever felt that, where like an emotional wound feels bigger than a physical one?
Oh, absolutely. And then there are those really blunt lines like sedate me just to calm me down or can't feel the sun when I wake up.
Right.
There's no hiding behind metaphors there. It's just laid bare, plain.
It's unvarnished.
And that seems to be what hits home for listeners who've maybe dealt with anxiety or depression or just that heavy, heavy feeling.
Exactly. It's unflinching. There's no attempt to, soften it. And that serves as this powerful validation for people who might feel like their own experiences aren't seen or are somehow less real. The song's basically saying, yeah, I see you. I get it.
The article even calls it a form of collective therapy. I thought that was a really interesting take. Like the song creates a space where acknowledging pain isn't something you do alone.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think when an artist is brave enough to voice those difficult emotions, it lets listeners see their own struggles reflected back. And that really fights the isolation that so often comes with mental health challenges, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Hearing someone else articulate what you feel, it's incredibly validating, makes you feel less alone, maybe even helps you start to process those feelings yourself. It builds this community almost based on shared vulnerability.
It really makes you think about why certain songs connect so deeply, that feeling of being seen,
Mm.
you know?
For sure. And the article brings up that Leonard Cohen quote, "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." Maybe Melly Baby showing these cracks, this vulnerability, is exactly how that light of connection gets through for people. What do you think about that idea with this song?
I think that captures it perfectly. How sometimes the imperfections, the raw bits, are way more powerful than trying to project some kind of perfect image,
Mm-hmm.
especially with emotions. And the article stresses this, that honesty signals a shift in what audiences want.
Mm.
It seems like younger listeners, maybe especially those navigating their own mental health stuff, are really craving that deeper truth, something real.
Absolutely. I mean, we're swimming in curated perfection online all the time, right? So
Mm.
I think there's this real hunger for authenticity in art. Melly Baby's willingness to be so open, it probably cuts through all that noise because it feels genuine. It's about connecting on a human level.
And that connects to the idea of a communal experience the article mentioned. It's not just one person feeling isolated. The song kind of opens up this space where people from different backgrounds can connect over shared feelings. Pain, maybe, but also the possibility of release, catharsis.
That's the magic of art, isn't it? Fostering empathy, bridging gaps. When someone shares their vulnerability so openly, it kind of invites others to feel safe, doing the same, builds solidarity, shared humanity.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to this idea of artistry and humanity. The article suggests Sedate Me really highlights how universal pain and healing can be. Like these core emotions go beyond just language or specific situations.
Yes, definitely. I mean, navigating tough emotions is just part of being human, right?
Yeah.
The details might be totally different for everyone, but those underlying feelings, sadness, anxiety, just wanting some peace, those are threads that connect us all. And music, it taps right into that, bypassing language sometimes.
So the idea is that you, listening, could find a piece of yourself in this song, no matter what your specific story is.
Exactly. The emotional world she paints in Sedate Me, it feels widely relatable even if your life hasn't mirrored hers exactly. It speaks to that basic human vulnerability we all carry around.
And the article sees this song as opening doors, making conversations about mental health and music more inclusive, more empathetic.
Yeah, by being so direct about her own stuff, she's helping normalize these conversations. It makes it less taboo, less shameful. It encourages a more open, more compassionate, well, a more human way of talking about it all.
It's described as both a creative innovation and a statement challenging norms in Western pop.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see it pushing boundaries?
Well, traditionally, a lot of mainstream pop focuses on, romance, partying, maybe more general emotional states, which is fine, obviously. But Melly Baby diving so deep and so explicitly into the darker, tougher side of mental health without necessarily offering a neat, happy ending, that feels different.
Right, it's not tied up with a bow.
Exactly. It's more nuanced, maybe more authentic to the complexity of real life.
Yeah.
And that itself feels innovative and definitely challenges some pop conventions.
Okay, let's zoom right in now on mental health being the absolute core of this song. The article is really clear. Sedate Me is a brave, quite poetic look at this really vital topic.
It really is. And in a world where mental health still carries so much stigma, artists willing to speak openly like this, they play such a crucial role. Destigmatizing, raising awareness, building empathy. It's huge.
And the piece contrasts this with songs that might just, skim the surface. Melly Baby really gets into the disorientation, the numbness, that desperate feeling of just needing relief that comes with depression and anxiety.
The lyrics really don't flinch from those hard realities. Lines like, I'm feeling hazy, it's the only cure. That just paints such a vivid picture of being lost in that mental fog, right? Just wanting any escape, even a temporary one. Have you heard other songs capture that hazy feeling quite like that?
It's a really visceral image. The article even says the lyrics feel almost like reading a raw journal entry from someone deep in it, offering truth, not easy answers.
And that authenticity is probably why it lands so hard. It's not about a quick fix, but about honestly reflecting the often messy reality of the experience. And if you're going through something similar, just hearing that acknowledgement can be incredibly powerful, validating.
You can't ignore the bigger picture either. The article brings up the pandemic, climate anxiety, social isolation, all these massive things affecting everyone's mental well-being. In that context, a song like Sedate Me could feel like a lifeline, couldn't it?
Absolutely. In times of widespread stress and uncertainty, art becomes this crucial source of comfort, validation, connection. Just knowing others feel these intense things too, as expressed in a song like this, it can make you feel less utterly alone.
It's also interesting that the article points out the hashtags she uses, like hashtag mental health awareness and hashtag #JustACalmMeMoi. It shows a deliberate link to that wider conversation about mental wellness.
Yeah, those hashtags are like little digital signals, aren't they? They connect the song to a larger online community, make it easier for people actively looking for support or shared experiences to find it. It shows she intends to be part of that discussion.
And the article really emphasizes that this seems to come from her own lived experience. It doesn't feel like a marketing angle, but more like, well, like personal and artistic survival.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between like performing support and expressing something real that you've lived. When an artist speaks from that authentic place, you can usually feel it. It carries weight. It becomes less about just entertainment and more about a genuine human connection, turning struggle into something that might help someone else.
The article puts it beautifully that her willingness to just name these difficult emotions is almost an act of radical kindness. It contributes to shifting how we all talk about, experience, and process our feelings.
Totally. Just naming it, bringing it into the open through art. That directly challenges the stigma. It creates a space where it's more okay to not be okay. And that shift towards openness, that's vital for building a more compassionate society.
So let's talk a bit more about Melly Baby herself. Canadian singer-songwriter from Barrie, Ontario. Seems like she's really carved out a space online.
Yes, the article mentions her strong presence, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. That direct engagement with fans is pretty typical for many artists today who are using social media really effectively.
And she's been building this since around January 2021, apparently. Getting noticed for her emotive voice and relatable songs It's kind of amazing how quickly artists can find an audience now.
It really is. The internet has definitely changed the game, allowing talent to emerge and build careers outside the traditional industry machine.
Her influences are mentioned as Ed Sheeran and Alanis Morissette. You can sort of hear that, right? That mix of personal storytelling lyrics, but with quite poppy melodies.
Yeah, those make sense as touchstones. Sheeran's knack for narrative, Morissette's raw emotional honesty. You can kind of see how those might feed into Melly Baby's style.
And she also uses Patreon, apparently, offering exclusive stuff to fans. That seems like a smart way to build a really dedicated community.
For sure. It builds a closer relationship between the artist and their core supporters. Fans feel more connected, and it gives the artist direct support for their work. Win-win, really.
The article really paints her as having this authentic approach dedicated to her craft. That seems key to why the music connects.
Definitely. In a world of pop that can sometimes feel manufactured, authenticity really stands out. Listeners can often tell when an artist is being genuine, and that sincerity builds a much stronger bond.
Okay, let's actually listen to some of these lyrics. The article gives us the chorus in both English and French, which is cool given she's Canadian. The English is, "So just sedate me, medicate me. Anything that works. Isolate me. I'm feeling hazy. It's the only cure." Wow, that's right.
Incredibly stark, isn't it? The repetition of sedate me, medicate me. It hammers home that desperation for relief, for any escape, and including isolate me, that taps into that common urge to just withdraw when you're struggling internally. And feeling hazy, yeah, perfectly captures that disoriented mental state.
And then the French version. Alors, juste calme-moi, médicamente-moi, n'importe quoi qui fonctionne, isole-moi, je me sens dans la brume, c'est le seul remède. Even if your French isn't perfect, you still feel that same weight, that same emotion, right? The feeling comes through so clearly.
Absolutely. The emotional core translates directly. It really shows that universality we were talking about, that phrase, je me sens dans la brume, I feel in the fog. That's such a powerful, relatable image across languages.
So yeah, wrapping up this deep dive, it's pretty clear Sedate Me is a seriously powerful song. This TATANKA article did a great job highlighting that emotional transparency, the artistry, and that really brave exploration of mental health at its heart.
Indeed. Melly Baby's vulnerability really does create this important space for connection, for feeling understood, maybe even for some healing. It's a potent reminder that, you're not alone in these struggles. Sharing vulnerability can be a bridge.
And that leads us to our final thought for you listening today. How does music work for you? Is it a way you process your own feelings, understand your own emotional world? Are there other artists out there whose honesty hits you like Melly Baby's seems to hit her listeners?
It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Music is such a powerful tool for self-discovery and connection. Maybe reflect on the songs or artists that have been important for you, especially during tough times. What is it about them that resonates? Exploring that can tell you a lot about yourself.